committee.
Microphone.
Push the red button.
There we go. Thank you. First, I'd like to thank you all, and thank you to the committee for hearing survivor voices. I'd like to remind you of who you're hearing from today. At this time, can my survivor sisters and family please rise? We may look like grown adults when you see us now, but we were children, young girls at the time of our abuse. These are the photos of when our innocence, dreams, and lives were stolen. Please take these faces in as you think of us as your own family, daughters, nieces, sisters. Now look at our faces and remember the women and families of who the DOJ re-victimized. You guys can sit. Thank you so much. I'm a teacher. In my school, if a student released a nude photo depicting a peer's sexual assault and abuse, they would almost certainly face expulsion. And yet, this is what our Department of Justice did to crime victims. Today, Todd Blanche has been at the helm of the release of nude images of survivors, the outing of Jane Does, and the exposure of more than 100 victims identifying information and documents describing horrific acts of abuse, including my own. Instead of treating this release as its own violation and holding the man who led it accountable, you have a decision on whether you place him in the highest law enforcement position in this country. In December, before the document release, our attorneys submitted 350 victims' names to the Department of Justice as victims' names to be redacted prior to the release. In that first release, I found my name in 2 places. In that next release in January, my name appeared again, but this time the redactions were so far worse. The files displayed not only my name, but my phone number, my former addresses, where I worked, and other identifying information. When my name appeared in the 3rd file release, it became difficult to believe that this was not intentional. Despite my lawyer repeatedly contacting the DOJ, seeking protection, my information continued to be exposed. And it's not just my name, it's the identifying information. These documents contain disturbing yet incomplete accounts of my abuse. They were available not only for the entire world to see, but my child, my students, my friends, my employers, my colleagues, and my family. It was humiliating. Worse, my FBI 302 exposed a Jane Doe who had fought for decades to conceal her identity. It's been absolutely devastating. Outing survivors causes real and irrevocable harm. While coping with our emotional distress and psychological trauma, we also have lost our privacy and confidentiality, suffered reputational harm, lost jobs, and now fear for our personal safety. We are not activists. We are crime victims. For us, this has never been about politics. It has been about getting justice for the crimes committed against us. And the redactions are not the only problem with Todd Blanche's nomination. Todd Blanche has never attempted to listen to us, the crime victims. Survivors in this room repeatedly asked to meet with Todd Blanche through multiple channels. He never responded. Yesterday, he said he would meet with us, with our attorneys, if they were present. But let's be clear, that was the first time that was ever communicated to us before yesterday. He simply ignored us for the last 8 months. He's been radio silent, and the silence was deafening. Crime victims deserve better from the nation's highest level of law enforcement officials. We deserve to be heard directly, not dismissed and ignored. There are numerous investigative leads that must be followed, despite Mr. Blanche's claim that there are none. Epstein and Maxwell did not abuse women and children alone. They did not build their operation alone. Others enabled these crimes, exploited victims, and avoided accountability for decades. You do not have to take my word for it. Several weeks ago, after examining the evidence, Chairman James Comer directed Todd Blanche to open investigations into 2 men connected to Epstein. The Epstein files are not merely a collection of embarrassing names and politically damaging associations. They are records connected to the sexual exploitation and trafficking of girls and young women. They contain information about how Epstein's network worked, who assisted him, and whether additional crimes can still be investigated. The Department of Justice should pursue every credible lead, not just work tirelessly, not just to shut down the investigations. The survivors in this room know there are investigative leads because they are our stories. Mr. Blanche knows it too, yet he has chosen not to pursue them. Mr. Blanche's actions have destroyed survivors' trust. According to public reporting, Mr. Blanche spent approximately 9 hours meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell. He did not even spend 9 minutes meeting with the survivor. Afterward, Maxwell was transferred to what many have described as a summer camp prison. We learned all of this through the news. Imagine what that feels like as a survivor to sit there if you were exploited by Ghislaine Maxwell and you're hearing this for the first time with no explanation, no outreach, and no transparency from your. And to add insult to injury, the information that Todd Blanche gathered in the White House Situation Room last summer to curb the political fallout from the Epstein files was absolutely abhorrent. Instead of following investigative leads, our government treated and continued to treat this as a political crisis that needs to be managed. In our nation, everyone deserves equal protection under the law. Todd Blanche has been unwilling to protect Epstein survivors' personal information, and he has been resistant to investigate the people who helped Epstein and Maxwell commit those crimes. They contain information about how Epstein's network worked, who assisted him, and whether additional crimes can still be investigated. The Department of Justice should pursue every credible lead, not work tirelessly, not just to shut down the investigations. The survivors in this room know there are investigative leads because they are our stories. Mr. Blanche knows it too, yet he has chosen not to pursue them. Mr. Blanche's actions have destroyed survivors' trust. According to public reporting, Mr. Blanche spent approximately 9 hours meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell. He did not even spend 9 minutes meeting with the survivor. Afterward, Maxwell was transferred to what many have described as a summer camp prison. We learned all of this through the news. Imagine what that feels like as a survivor to sit there if you were exploited by Ghislaine Maxwell and you're hearing this for the first time with no explanation, no outreach, and no transparency from your. And to add insult to injury, the information that Todd Blanche gathered in the White House Situation Room last summer to curb the political fallout from the Epstein files was absolutely abhorrent. Instead of following investigative leads, our government treated and continued to treat this as a political crisis that needs to be managed. In our nation, everyone deserves equal protection under the law. Todd Blanche has been unwilling to protect Epstein survivors' personal information, and he has been resistant to investigate the people who helped Epstein and Maxwell commit those crimes. We need an attorney general committed to ensuring that everyone who facilitated Epstein's crimes is held accountable. Please, I implore you, please, think carefully and think about the girls in these photos. Thank you.
You know, as I am creating these videos and I'm thinking about the Republican Party, and I'm wondering to myself, how, when they have families, could they do what they do? How could they vote on not feeding kids in schools? How could they vote for any of Trump's policies when it hurts society? Your kids, 14, 15, 16 years old, don't you think that they know what you do? Don't you think that they put up with harassment from their from some of the kids in schools about you protecting pedophiles? What runs through your daughter's minds when they're in their room doing homework and you pop up in their head and the things that you do? You think your daughters hate you? I would not doubt it. They're looking at the fact that all these young girls being raped by Donald Trump, Epstein, billionaires and millionaires, even though you have money from inside trading and everything else, and all the illegal shit that you did, you bought them really nice things. But money doesn't buy love. Your kids do not think like you do. They have totally different brains. They have totally different personalities. Especially girls. They're thinking about themselves. They're thinking about their friends. They're thinking about other young girls that were molested, that were kidnapped, that were trafficked into sex slavery. And you protecting them. You voting with Trump to protect pedophiles and everything else that Donald Trump is doing. Most likely, they would never be a Republican, not looking at you as a Republican, as a Republican senator or representative of a certain state. I can only think that when you're sitting at your dinner table with your kids and your daughter just plainly ignores you, it's because she knows what kind of piece of shit you are. She knows that you will maybe even part in the Epstein files. Some of you are. That's one of the reasons why you do not want it released, because you're in there. Your wife. I'm sure some of your wives do not agree with anything that you are doing as far as voting with Trump and hiding the Epstein files. I'm sure that they look at these women when she sees them on TV putting out their stories about what had happened to them. When you're at work, don't you think that your family, your daughters that are of 15, 16, 17 years old are doing research, that are looking at computers to see what is going on because they were harassed by one of the kids in school because of what you do? How can you look at yourself in the mirror and think that what you are doing is right? And every day when you look into your family's eyes and they roll their eyes at you, or your daughter snickers at you when you say something at the kitchen table, and it's only because of what you do. It's not because you told her that she couldn't go out and be with her friends. Does she say to you when you tell her that what, you think that I'm going to go out there and be raped by an Epstein or Donald Trump? You cannot tell me that yous are not getting flack from your kids at home. You cannot tell me that some of you that don't have some far-right crazy wife is looking at you and wishing she never married you. Look at Luckneck. Luckneck takes his youngest kids to Jeffrey Epstein's island. His boys and a couple other young kids. Takes them to Epstein's islands even though that they know what is going on Epstein's Island. Lucknick's wife, she must have sunk down in the hole of Epstein's Epstein shit, because she goes right along with you. She doesn't tell you, look, I don't appreciate what you do. Or maybe she did tell him that. But because he hangs out with Epstein, he probably has the same idea about women as Epstein does, as Donald Trump does. That they're only there to be used and abused. And that's what your daughters also think too. Your daughters are thinking, wow, my father protecting pedophiles. My father voting on Donald Trump's bills that hurt young kids that can't eat, that can't afford food, that can't pay their rent, that can't put gas in their cars, that wants to elect an AG that is a pedophile protector, Donald Trump's lawyer. He says he was Donald Trump's lawyer. He still is Donald Trump's lawyer. He is the dirtiest bastard of them all. Elaine Maxwell. They move her to a cushion prison because he says that she was receiving threats. With her type of charges that she had, if she was receiving threats, they would have put her in isolation. She would have been in a cell almost 23 hours a day by herself. That's what they do with people with charges like that she has. They don't move them to a cushy prison where she could have a fucking puppy, where she can walk around and have the warden take up for her every time somebody says something to her, that she goes and reports to the warden, and then they get sent out to another prison. Any woman that thinks what Epstein does and Donald Trump did is okay, there's something fucking terribly wrong with these women. And that includes your wives. Your kids, they are still sponges up here. They still absorbing everything that's going on, and they are a whole lot more smarter than what you fucking think. You think that you're getting away with doing what you do with Donald Trump, with Epstein, and okaying for these young girls to be raped, to be kidnapped, to be laundered out to billionaires and millionaires. You think that they think it's okay? They don't. Like I said, they look at you as a piece of shit, really. And you are. I'm going to run a list of all the mega Republicans. And I hope that somebody that sees this video, they take the names down, especially in the Senate and in the House. They take those names down, and when the primaries come up in November, they get out there and they vote against you. It is not okay. It is not okay for you to support Epstein, because that's who you're supporting. You act like yous are for women's rights. These aren't for women's rights. If you did, you would be looking at these survivors and you would be doing everything that you can to help these survivors. Because by helping these survivors, you help your daughters. You help your kids. But what do you think? You think Well, as long as it doesn't happen to my wife, it doesn't happen to my kids, I don't give a shit. And that's the biggest fucking problem. You don't give a shit. Think about what I'm saying. Sit your daughters down. Talk to them and ask them about what they think about you supporting Jeffrey Epstein, because that's exactly what you're doing. Set them down and talk to them. Set your sons down and talk to them. They are so much smarter than what you think. They are so much smarter than you are. They have hearts and they have souls. You gave your heart and your soul to Donald Trump and Epstein. Lindsey Graham, you know where he is right now? He's in hell with Epstein. They're probably sitting there having a conversation about Donald Trump right now, talking about, well, you know what? Donald Trump is dying. He'll be down here too, also pretty soon. So it'd be Three's Company. I will be putting more of this out there. And until then, think about what I said, Republicans. And this goes for the Republican voters too. Because if you're supporting Donald Trump, you're supporting Epstein. No matter how much you say, release the Epstein files, and you're still supporting Trump, you really don't want those Epstein files to come out, because Melania's in those files. Melania was with Epstein a year and a half before she even met Trump. She was dating Epstein. She was going out and making money for Epstein. That's right. I'm calling Melania Trump a whore, because that's what she was. She was a whore when she came here. And she still is, because she married her client. She's still working as a hooker. She's a lifetime hooker. She's still married to Trump. She doesn't sleep with him anymore. But Donald Trump doesn't give a shit. You know why? Because he's got that new blonde little puppet of his that does all his typing for him, that spends all night up with him, putting out those texts on Truth Social and on X. You know, Trump isn't doing that. Trump is an idiot. He's so fucking... Trump is dumb. Believe me, he is fucking dumb. He says, oh, they're low IQ. Fucking Donald Trump's IQ is his fucking shoe size. He's an idiot. And you know it. Well, some of you green teeth idiots don't know, because you're no smarter than he is. But you listen to everything that he says. And you got to go to the bathroom. You have to call Trump and say, hey, I have to go to the bathroom. Can I go to the bathroom? Yeah, you can go to the bathroom and throw it out the bedroom window. Yeah. Tells you where to shit and what window to throw it out of. Talk to you soon.
If you're looking for members who are commonly described by news organizations and political analysts as part of the MAGA or hard right wing of the Republican Party during the 2025 to 2026 Congress, here are some of the most frequently cited names. Mike Johnson, House of Representatives L. Lauren Boebert, Jim Jordan, Chip Roy, Paul Gosar, Mary Miller, Andy Obels, Eli Crane, Scott Perry, Andy Biggs, Clay Higgins, Byron Donalds, Anna Paulina, Luna, Harriet Hageman, Nancy Mace, often associated with Trump on many issues, though not always grouped with the Freedom Caucus. Matt Gaetz is no longer serving in the House. Marjorie Taylor Greene is not in the Senate. However, as of the 2025 to 2026 Congress, she served in the House of Representatives. She has publicly criticized some Republican leaders and has disagreed with parts of the GOP establishment, but she has not left Congress or formed a separate political party. Senate Josh Hawley, Ted Cruz, Tommy Tuberville, Eric Schmidt, Rick Scott, Mike Lee, Ron Johnson.